So I've been away at JordanCon. As you can tell, I'm finally back in my apartment. It is 2-ish p.m. on a Monday. I got to take today off my actual job, so I'm still good to go and record a couple videos, get my backlog going again. I'm excited for that. But last night from JordanCon, I was like, all right, I'm super excited. I'm on this like wheel of time high. Let's bring it down. It was like midnight when I got back to my Airbnb, flicked open HBO Go, HBO Now, whichever one, and started watching Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3. By the way, spoiler alert, Battle of Winterfell. This will be my spoiler-filled review of this episode. Now, if you go online, let's say you go to any just kind of random comment section, you'll probably find someone, again, talking down about modern Game of Thrones and how it's so much worse than it used to be. And yeah, it's declined slightly in quality, but with the recent news that it's going to end similarly to the books, George R. R. Martin confirmed that. He said maybe a few side characters might have different endings, but overall, it will end pretty much the same. These people who are complaining that this ending would never happen in the books, I highly doubt it's gonna be that different, because George R. R. freaking Martin says it's gonna be pretty goddamn similar. I'm gonna get into the details of the battle and everything real quick, but I wanna go into the complete character arc that is Theon for the TV show, excluding A Song of Ice and Fire, because there are minor changes, but I wanna get into Theon Greyjoy and his amazing arc from beginning to end. No, I'm not one of these people who thinks Theon is redeemed. He did things like murder, he's responsible for the murder of children and skinning of older women, things where it's like, no, you can't be forgiven, you are bad. I don't hate him. Like, if I was on a jury, I'd convict him to life in prison, but it wouldn't be like I'm convicting Ted Bundy. I'd be like, I'd convict this guy and I'd be like, I'm sorry, you're gonna go to life in jail, and I feel kind of bad about it, but you totally deserve life in prison. That's my take on it. Like, you need to have responsibility for your actions, and just being remorseful is not enough. Actions have consequences, and my God, Theon has had to deal with some consequences. I don't know, this whole they're redeemed thing that we see in Game of Thrones all the time. Jaime shoved a child out of a window, and people now are like, he's so dreamy. No, he is not. So I just feel like I had to address that because it was a major thing I see people talking about online. But let's talk about the actual episode here. So I kind of wanted to go to sleep maybe halfway through the episode, then I was going to rewatch the whole thing today, but of course I ended up staying up and watching the whole thing because I forgot what this episode was going to be until like the first shot, and then I just remembered. But a few just instant notes right away. The lack of dialogue throughout this episode in terms of characters saying things to each other. There's a few scenes where, yes, conversations happen, it's usually just a few lines, but the battle was communicated incredibly effectively to the viewer. There was never a moment where someone had to say, like, drop the trench and light it so the undead army can't get over for a minute. No, it was just visually communicated rather simply. They need fire, trench, figure it out. And I enjoyed that. It's much more Helm's Deep in that sense, rather than a lot of the more lazy battles we often get on TV, where it's, you have to do this, go do it all, you know, and holding your hand. No, they didn't do that, and I appreciate that immensely. On top of that, the horde, the flood that is undead here is probably the best execution of a flood of undead I've seen. Full stop. It took the World War Z just unstoppable mob concept, but made it feel a whole lot more gritty and real. World War Z wasn't really scary because it just felt like this CGI mess running through, but with the advancement of technology, the blending of some practical effects when they can, that felt much less so the case here. Once again, good job. And talk about setting stakes. Tactically, it made no sense. Extremely stupid just to send the Dothraki out to charge into something when not knowing what it looks like or what they're going into. For all they know, there was just a spike pit waiting for the Dothraki that, you know, who knows what the Night King's magic can do, they have just waiting. So they just blindly send them out. But visually and cinematically, it looked remarkable, having the torches slowly dwindle and die, just letting us as the viewer know the Dothraki, this unstoppable fighting force, not so unstoppable anymore. And then the actual battle begins. And the standout heroes for me, without a doubt, are the Unsullied. They are just unshakable, it feels like. Their discipline and line organization, even when fighting what should just shatter even the most just hardened battle warrior, was so amazing to watch. And it felt earned, it felt deserved, because we've seen the Unsullied be just unshaken. r/Free Folk called it, of course. The Crypt people come out because the Night King does his whole shazazzles with bringing up the undead. Don't know where I got shazazzles from, but that's the official term now. And the battle between the Night King, Jon Snow, and Daenerys was interesting. It was more cinematic than anything else, but having this dragon fighting was just very cool. You know, that's all it really led to the episode. Was cool. I saw someone online insulting Jon and Daenerys for their like handling of the dragons during the fighting. Did you watch it? The dragons just mashed and Jon just held on for dear life. That was it. That was it. There was nothing else he could do. What did you want him to do? Then everything with the dragons gets more grounded. The undead hoard over the walls. Daenerys falls from her dragon after the undead kind of swarm her dragon and has to shake them off and flies off. We have one more dead dragon. The undead dragon is dead. The Night King, it gets dragon fire breathed all on him, shrugs it off like and Jon Snow tries to run at him, pauses like an idiot, and because of that pause, the Night King turns around and raises everyone up. The Crypt comes back, the undead dragon that was killed is back. Awesome blue fire leaking out of its neck. That was an amazing cinematic choice. Again, just great shots here, left and right. And for a battle episode, which this was from beginning to end, a movie-length battle episode, it needed that, and it was incredible and it was stunning. And the weakness recently with Game of Thrones has been the dialogue, and with such minimal dialogue, I don't really see how that was an issue at all. And just the sheer brilliance and execution of this battle paid off a thousandfold. I'd put it in my top 10 episodes of Game of Thrones without a doubt. I need to think on it a bit more before I put any hard numbers there, but let's go ahead and get into the actual ending of the Battle of Winterfell. This is gonna be a pretty glowing review because I think it earns it. So all seems pretty hopeless here. Jon is surrounded and kind of gets rescued by a dragon. Daenerys falls from her dragon and seems pretty hopeless, but gets rescued by your homeboy, her bodyguard, who fights off people for a while, takes some mortal wounds, dying out, going out like he should, defending the woman he loves. And she, of course, really is mourning him. It's sad. He's one of the losses we have here. We also lose the young noble woman. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she goes out like a champion, and I want to spend more time on that, but we gotta talk about the actual ending there, and that's Arya. Arya Stark, Bamf. We all know this. She is one of the best fighters out there, probably the best fighter of House Stark, just whipping undead left and right like no one's business, and then she finally gets overwhelmed, her nerves get shaken. The Hound has a great moment overcoming his fear of fire. I was convinced he was gonna die, totally did not, and he comes and he saves her, and we lose also the fire worshipping man. I'm so bad at names, I'm running on like 4 hours sleep, guys, I apologize. But it was an emotional moment that worked out with his death, and then we have the Red Woman reminding Arya of her destiny that was talked about ages ago, where she will kill brown-eyed people, green-eyed people, and blue-eyed people. And now she's got to fulfill that destiny. Theon goes out in a good way for Theon. It was a desperate charge, and what I think it was really more about was him proving his bravery. He is not Reek. He stands up to a god, essentially, coming down to wipe out humanity, and charges him, knowing it's hopeless, knowing he will die. But it's not about him actually killing the Night King. It's about him showing that he's not Reek. He will die for those around him without hesitation now, and he does that. Perfect conclusion for Theon there, in my opinion. But then we get the slowest walk-up ever of the Night King approaching Graham just sitting in a chair, just doing nothing. The most useless character from this whole episode, and that's my big complaint. What was he doing with the crows? If we don't get an answer for that next episode, I'm gonna be pissed. We have to know, because if he was just out being Crow Boy the whole time, what the f***? Give us some actual, he was doing something in the next episode, please. We need to know something, and if we don't, I'll be severely disappointed. I hope we do, and I have faith we do, because they know we need some kind of answer of why he was all for a bit. But at the last second, Night King's about to come down, kill him, but Arya swoops out doing her whole shadow business. I assume she jumped down from a roof or tree because that's what she's trained to do now. And Night King whirls around, grabs her by the throat. She pulls out Rey Skywalker from The Last Jedi, drops it, catches it, boom, knife to the stomach, which is my biggest fear place to get stabbed. Very much so don't want to get stabbed in the stomach. Stab me anywhere but the stomach, please. And the Night King shatters, and in prequel droid army fashion, all the undead just go away. But in this way, it's actually more earned because it is a magical connection. It's not like a glaring flaw in your software, it's magic. So you assume once the magic user is dead, all their minions go as well. That's like an established thing in necromancer lore. So it's not aggravating like it was in the prequels for me when the droids just all went down and because you take out one place. But now Arya is the killer of the Night King. Arya Stark has killed the most powerful character we are aware of in Westeros. In my opinion, cementing her as, you know, the true King Slayer, her, Abor, and Jaime Lannister. Oh, and Cersei, I guess, because she drove one to suicide. That counts as a kill. And that leaves us to where we are now. They solved the big bad threat, and in typical anti-fantasy fashion, Martin has taken a step here where we as the viewer don't have to worry about the big bad Dark Lord from the North anymore. There wasn't even like a big showdown with the you know, second in command Night King people. Again, I'm forgetting their names. No, they just went out too, like because of the magic being gone. And now it's just what's remaining versus Cersei. She's gonna be the big bad. And now that that's the case, it becomes rather obvious that that's where this has been leading to. The big bad enemy of this whole series has not been really the Night King. That's been a outside wild card, a variable. The real enemy, the real villain, and what everyone must focus on now is that at full power, with an unstoppable level of forces now compared to what's left up north, Cersei Lannister. They have one dragon, I think maybe at most 1,000 men remaining, I assume. I mean, Winterfell looked like it was torn to bits. We don't even really know who's left right now. And that is what is against the Iron Fleet and Cersei and her army. Holy God, I can't even... I'm so excited to see how this conflict, where it's not just a big bad force person with no real character, it's character versus character showdown being the final episodes. That's what I'd rather it be. I don't want it to be the big bad evil Dark Lord in typical fantasy fashion right now. That's not what these characters deserve. These characters deserve something with higher stakes. And yes, I know the Night King is like end of humanity stakes, but against Cersei with all the emotional and relationship baggage that comes with it, the stakes there I connect with more. So I think it's higher in that sense that I actually connect with those stakes in a more human way. So I think it's brilliant. I'm giving this one of the top Game of Thrones episodes of all times. It's another benchmark for television, obviously. I'm putting this one and monumental moments in television history, which Game of Thrones owns a lot of. So dug it. Fantastic. Watch it if you haven't. Why'd you watch this review if you haven't? That was weird. Like and subscribe if you've not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And let me know what you thought of the episode. Did you enjoy the foreshadowing of Arya being the one to kill the Night King? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know why I'm turning into Anthony Fantano. And leave a comment down below to help me in the algorithm. Peace. Shout out to my latest high tier patron, Joshua Jones. I appreciate it. The Patreon has been going awesome, and the recent increase, everyone, is much appreciated. Joshua, your contribution means a lot more than you think, and I look forward to posting more book snippets there up for y'all. More should be coming soon, and I hope y'all are having a good one. I'm out.